Last week, the Vandenberg Coalition was thrilled to host a virtual episode of our Future of Conservative Foreign Policy series. In this series, we focus on the way our foreign policy leaders are thinking about the threats in front of the United States. In the past, we've been honored to feature speakers like Senator Tom Cotton, Senator Jim Banks, Senator Joni Ernst, Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, and so many others. This episode, we were thrilled to welcome Senator Rick Scott. As many of our listeners know, Senator Rick Scott's career has long been marked by service to our country and hard work to achieve the American dream. Before we get to the discussion, I want to share a little about the senator's background that may give good insights into his worldview. Senator Scott started his career in public service as a radar man on the USS Glover in the Navy. After the Navy, he built his business career from the ground up before the hardships caused by Florida's economic collapse in 2009 prompted him to run for governor of Florida. Though it was his first political campaign ever, he was successful, and as governor, he proceeded to create nearly 1.7 million new jobs, cut taxes, and pay down billions in state debt. He was first elected to the U.S. Senate in 2018 and is now in his second term. He currently serves as the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee's Subcommittee on Sea Power, and he also is a member of 4 other committees, including the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. I also noticed that among all of his remarkable achievements is perhaps the most beautiful. He has been married to his wife Anne for over 52 years, with 2 daughters and 7 grandchildren. Importantly for our topic today, Senator Scott has been a leader in sounding the alarm about the threat posed by China and the numerous ways the Chinese Communist Party is working to undermine America's security, freedom, and prosperity. And now to the interview. We hope you enjoy. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
It's nice to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to see you again. So we want to spend a lot of time talking about China. You have been a leading advocate about countering China. But before we get to that, there's really this new welcome debate, I think, in the Republican Party about America's role in the world, whether we should continue to be leading internationally, whether we should be relying more on our partners. How do you conceptualize what America's role in the international community should be?
Well, I mean, first off, I think, we ought to focus on America. We ought to focus on Americans. And then we ought to focus on how do we work with our allies to, improve the lot of the world. So how do I think about that? So I respect Israel. They're a small country in a tough neighborhood. They don't ask us to put troops on the ground, but they do ask us for support, right? And I think all of our allies should understand that, we don't have the financial resources today to police the world. They've got to do their part. So, and also if we help our allies do a better job of taking care of their own security, it'll make America safer. So I was just in Europe in, I think it was March, and I met with Denmark, Finland, and Estonia. And of course, what they asked me about Trump, right? So I said, I think there's 2 takeaways. Number one, if you want us to be part of your security umbrella, then you're going to, be ready for your own defense. Mm-hmm. We'll be your partner, but we're not going to be the front line of your defense. Number 2 is if you want to sell into the American market, the best market in the world, then our workers are going to be able to sell our products and service into your market. And if you think otherwise, then that's unfair to an American. So I think the Trump, that's the premise of the Trump agenda. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned your travels to Europe. I know you also recently were in the Philippines and Japan. What role are our allies in that part of the world undertaking to provide for their own defense?
Well, it's first off, I think everybody is engaged, right? And I think, you can say, are they engaged because of Donald Trump's conversations? Maybe. But I think for sure they're engaged because in Europe, they're worried about Putin. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the Middle East, they were worried about Iran, probably a little bit less about Iran right now, but worried about Iran. And in Asia, they're worried about China. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you listen to what Putin says in Russia, and if you look at what Xi says in China, he's going to invade. And then if you look at their actions, I was just in the Philippines, and look at what he's done with the shoals there, and trying to push the Philippines out of their own sovereign land. If you look at the threat against Taiwan, so that's saying something. If you look at just what's happened recently with Russian drones going into Poland, I mean, it's a dangerous place. I mean, Trump believes in peace through strength, which is logical. If people don't believe we have either the ability or the wherewithal, the mentality, the commitment to defend our freedom, why take us seriously?
Right.
I think under Biden they didn't.
Last month, you introduced the Protect the Grid Act, where it specifically describes China as an existential threat. There are many, both in the Republican Party and in the Democratic Party, that refer to it more as a competitor. Why do you refer to it as an existential threat, and what argument would you make as to why it should be seen more as an adversary than just a competitor?
Well, I don't think there's any question. If you listen to Xi, he's getting ready for war. Okay, he wants to displace America and change the world order. I mean, he's listen to his rhetoric. We ought to probably believe what he says. All right, he wants to take back Taiwan. He doesn't want America to lead the world. He wants to take away sovereign land from the Philippines. I mean, that's what he says. So if that's true, then why would any American buy a product from China? And by the way, let's look at what their actions. He's killing 78,000 people a year with the fentanyl overdose, right? He has stolen. She's never complied with any. China has never complied with any trade policy. WTO, the Trump trade deal, nothing. All they do is lie, cheat, and steal. So I believe that they want to displace our way of life. I believe that they don't want my kids, my grandkids to live under freedom. And so I'm not going to help them. When you buy their products or you allow them to sell stock in our country, whether you allow them to sell products into our ports or into our grid, you're just asking for trouble down the road.
What role do you think TikTok and social media sort of plays in this? You mentioned capabilities and will, and it seems like TikTok is a way of undermining the will part of the equation.
TikTok should not be owned by the Chinese government. It's real simple. Actually, that's the law. I mean, that is the law of the land. They have to either shut it down, okay, or you would hope that they'd sell it. So I know a lot of people, including friends I know, use TikTok, and that's great. But it can't be owned by the Chinese government. They use it to basically lie, cheat, and steal. That's what I mean. Everything that comes out of Xi's mouth, everything that comes out of the Chinese government mouth is a lie, cheat, and steal. They want to destroy your way of life. They do not believe that we should have individual freedoms. They don't like our way of life. And so they're trying, and they are destroying. You ask the 78,000 people that lost family and friends with fentanyl, their lives were destroyed last year.
I would say many Americans agree with you fully on this assessment. We had conducted a poll at the Vandenberg Coalition last month that showed that 60% of Trump voters, in particular, want to see more action against China. We want to be tougher against China. So what are the key ways that you think Congress or the president can initiate that and really push against the threat of China?
The one thing is, what can you do? Okay, as an American, don't buy anything from China. If you get on Amazon, they don't tell you the country of origin. It's probably made in China. Don't buy it. So the first thing is, don't buy a service. Don't buy any Chinese drones. Don't buy a GGO drone. Don't buy anything from China. Okay. I personally believe the only way we can compete with China is their economy has to be destroyed. If they continue to build their economy, what they're going to do is continue to build a military to try to defeat us. And that's what they're doing. They're doing it every day. They're doing it with our dollars. Okay. They're coming into our stock market, selling stocks, taking our dollars and building up a military. That's crazy that we're doing this stuff. So the first thing is what every American should do. Stop buying their stuff. Then what should the government do? At every level of government, they should never do business with a Chinese company. They should not do any business in China. They should not import anything from China, buy anything from China, buy any services from China. So every government should do that. And then what we ought to do is we ought to say, next is they shouldn't be able to raise any money in this country. right? If you decide you want to go work with our enemy, which they have decided to be our enemy, then you shouldn't have the same opportunities to do business with our American government. We should make sure our allies are well defensed. So let's make it easier for Taiwan to get the military weapons they need. Let's make it easier for the Philippines. Taiwan probably has the resources on their own. We got to speed up the process to get them the weapons. We got to help Japan. We've got to help South Korea. We've got to. The Philippines probably need more financial help. We need to help them. They're being threatened for 2 days. When I was there, that was the day after the two Chinese ships crashed into each other. When they were running off a Philippine ship from their own property.
What about our allies in, say, Europe and the Middle East, for example? Should we be reducing our footprint there to pivot towards China, or do you think we can work with all of them simultaneously?
I think we should expect every ally to basically prepare for their own defense and understand we're going to end up. I think we're going to end up with two military alliances. We're going to end up with two trading alliances, and they're going to be the same. If you want to do business with China, okay, then you're not going to probably do business with America. If you want to do business with China, you probably ought to join their military alliance. Now, you know that they're not going to help you, right? So it's going to be, you're going to have to make a choice. Are you on the Russia, China, Iran, North Korea side? Are you on the America, Europe, and our ally side? And our allies are going to have to make choices. You can't keep buying Russian oil. You can't keep buying Chinese products. You can't allow them to control your technology, your 5G. What can you rely on them for? I'm starting an investigation on why we rely on Chinese drugs. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen when they invade Taiwan? Right? You think maybe for our military they might shut off the drugs? Right. Probably, I would.
Well, and I was really horrified when I learned that so many of our local law enforcement use Chinese drones, for example, for their operations. It's something that we absolutely need to address. I know at the state level, a lot of players are doing that now.
Chinese cranes or anything Chinese, anything that's anything in our infrastructure, they're spying on us. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. China wants to destroy our way of life.
What about the argument that I hear that says we can't, this is a great vision for the world. Obviously, China is an adversary, but we can't fully divorce ourselves economically in the way that you're sort of suggesting. You are obviously a very successful business person in addition to previous governor and now senator. So how do you react to that criticism that this isn't possible for American economic security?
Well, let's see. So Russia sells oil. So we stop buying their oil, right?
You're right.
There's alternatives, and we'll create alternatives. So think about it. America is full of the smartest, most innovative people in the world. Why? Because people flock here from all over the world because it's a land of opportunity. We can do. There's no limit what we can do, but we got to start acting as a unit. Mm-hmm. All 330 million Americans have to say, "I'm not buying from China," and then we've got to make sure our European allies. In South Korea, in Taiwanese, and I mean we have to smarten up. Think about it. If you were building a business, and I'm a business guy, as I built manufacturing companies, did I rely on my competitor who might hold back on products I need? No, I didn't do that.
Well, and it's even worse because it's on the defensive side, too. So much of the equipment that we need is Chinese origin, or they control some aspect of the supply chain.
Right.
What about state leaders? As a former governor, you're obviously very aware of what states can do. National security tends to be the remit of the federal government, but what are some opportunities that state leaders can consider to counter China and protect their citizens?
Don't let them buy China. Don't let them buy our land. Mm-hmm. Don't buy anything from them. Don't do trade missions over there, right? I was governor of Florida. I did trade missions all over the world. I didn't go to China. I didn't want to increase any trade. I didn't want to become dependent on China. Mm-hmm. Think about it. I didn't go to Cuba. I didn't go to Venezuela. I didn't go to North Korea. I didn't go to Russia. I didn't go to China. I didn't go to Iran because I don't want to increase trade. I want to. If there's any trade, I want to eliminate it. We clearly can decouple. And it's smart business because think what happened. What happened to all the American companies that were doing business in Russia when they invaded Ukraine? How much money did they lose? And what do you think the chances are if China invades Taiwan and we get engaged, that China is not going to adversely impact every American company and all their money? Right. And right now, if you're an American worker, you might not even get to leave China. Like you want to be stationed over in Beijing right now, and then have the chance when you're supposed to leave. They say, "Oh no, we took your passport. You can't leave." That's going on every day.
You are referencing the situation with Russia, the war between Russia and Ukraine multiple times throughout this conversation. Obviously, President Trump has tried to negotiate a peace deal multiple times. The Russians have prevented that peace deal from going through. We saw most recently that they were launching more drone strikes, more attacks on civilian territory. What do you think is the way to get this to a resolution?
Well, I'm a deal guy, right? I've done deals all my life. I've never done a deal with somebody that didn't want to do a deal. And I've never done a deal with somebody I didn't trust. Okay, so do you trust Putin? I don't. There's never going to be a deal. Putin doesn't want a deal. You can't trust him. And so the only way, I'd love to end the war. I mean, who wouldn't love to end the war? I don't see how you can do it when you're dealing with somebody that doesn't want to end it. So the only way you can deal with Putin is you got to destroy his economy. You got to prevent his ability to sell oil. I mean, look, I'm very disappointed in Modi. I'm very disappointed. I mean, he got elected through a democracy, and he doesn't care that Russia invaded a sovereign nation. Just doesn't. I mean, why would you not care? You can decide, oh, I don't know if I want to be involved in that dispute. You make that decision, but to intentionally help, Russia.
Yeah.
Think of the unbelievable numbers of grandkids that have been killed in Ukraine, and moms and dads and brothers and sisters. I mean, Putin is an absolute thug, and so the only way you beat a thug like that, he's got to have downside.
Yeah, yeah. So you would argue, what we've been calling peace through sanctions, more sanctions, potentially more.
You have to destroy their economy. I mean, look, Europe's got to stop buying Russian oil. Yeah. I mean, why would you ever make yourself dependent like that? Like, why? I loved my mom growing up. I didn't like her telling what to do, but I wanted to be on my own as fast as I could. Who doesn't? Right? So as a country, why would we put ourselves in a position that we're dependent on somebody that we know is an adversary? If it's Great Britain that we have a history of trusting, or Japan, or Australia, somebody that we've trusted for decades, that's different. But do you trust Russia or China?
And do you see Europe starting to take the actions that they need to, or are you still worried?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They are focused. As I've talked to European leaders on my trips over there, and when they come and see me here, they're focused. I mean, they realize that Putin is not going to stop. And we don't never know what Putin's going to do, but you have to assume he's going to do what he says he's going to do. He said in 2008. He's going to recreate the Soviet Union. So if he's going to recreate the Soviet Union, then he's going to invade a NATO territory.
Yeah.
Sending drones into Poland, that might be perceived to be an invasion.
Right. What about, I want to pivot a little bit to now the Middle East. You brought up Israel as a key strategic ally. The Europeans are being helpful and hurtful in some ways on this. Helpful in that the E3 has announced snapback, although I personally question whether or not they're going to allow that to go through, given these new negotiations that are in place. But we also have some longstanding allies that are claiming that they will be recognizing a state of Palestine. What's the message that you have to countries like France and the UK and Canada that plan to use the moment of the UN General Assembly to make an announcement like that?
No, they're wrong. I mean, it's pretty simple. If they like a Palestinian country, why don't they put it, like outskirts of Paris? They have a lot of Muslims in. Why don't they do it there? That would be a nice place. Why doesn't Egypt want a Palestinian state? Yeah, they could put it in the Sinai. There's some vacant land there. Nobody does. So why would anybody in Europe think it's a great idea to have a terrorist state in their country? They clearly don't, or next to their country. It's okay because it's far enough away, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's a big mistake. If you go to Israel, and I've been to Israel a lot, and I went in one of my trips. I went to Kfar Aza, which is half a mile from Gaza, and I went back after October 7th, and 63 people were killed there, and the stories are babies killed, homes destroyed, people I knew dead. How in God's green earth could any leader in Europe think that after that we're going to reward them with a state,
right,
which will end up being a terrorist state?
So do you think there's a way of stopping them? I mean, is there a way to help them understand what the results of this
It's like Putin. It's, if he's either got to something's got to happen to him. Yeah. It sure appears that the only way you're going to stop Hamas is kill him.
Right.
I mean, it didn't seem like there's anything else. I mean, I'm appreciative, of what Israel's done. I mean, you have to really admire their political leadership, their military leadership, the IDF, the men and women that are soldiers, and what they've done to destroy Hezbollah, the Houthis, Iran, Hamas. They live in a tough neighborhood, and people want to destroy their way of life. So I'm appreciative of the countries that participate in the Abraham Accords, and I hope that can be expanded. So, Israel wants peace.
Right.
They don't want a war.
Some of your Democratic colleagues have been calling for an end to U.S. military assistance to Israel. Many people are very grateful that you and your Republican colleagues have stood up against that, and some Democrats as well. How do we stop this tide? I mean, it seems as if every day we're getting inundated with propaganda, with anti-Israel sentiment. Florida has been a state that has could
be a kick-ass country.
You would be. Has really defended Israel quite a lot. Your constituency cares a lot about it.
Right.
How do we fight this narrative that's out there?
I think you fight it with information. I think Netanyahu and the IDF did a good job in the beginning explaining exactly what happened. And just showing the horrible video of what happened, right? There's so much horrible video. So I think you got to be clear-eyed. You got to go talk about what happened. I'm in the Capitol, so I get protested by these pro-Hamas people, whoever they are. I mean, I just say they kill babies. So it's pretty simple to me. I love babies. I love my grandkids. And so for somebody to go destroy, I have a picture of a 4-year-old Ariel, a little redheaded little boy, and in my office, just strangled to death. I mean, 4-year-old little boy. He has no prey. He's not done anything wrong to anybody. He might be a whiner, I don't know, but so if he's been a problem, he's been a problem to his mom and dad, but clearly not to somebody in Gaza. But this little boy was strangled. Why? I mean, who would do that? What mom raises a child to destroy a 4-year-old and his 10-month-old brother by strangling them? Yeah. What mom raises somebody to put a baby in a microwave and kill him? Okay, who does that? I mean, those people need to either be in prison the rest of their life or they need to be dead.
I'll pivot a little bit to our neck of the woods. You mentioned that President Trump is very focused on the Western Hemisphere. You and I first met. I had the honor of meeting you when I was working for the administration on Cuba and Venezuela. There's a lot happening.
Work to do.
We still have work to do. There's a lot happening in Venezuela. I'm just curious.
We'll all be more optimistic.
What's your interpretation of the naval assets that are in the region now, the drone strike on the drug-running boat? I'm just very curious how you're reading all of this and what it means for Maduro in Venezuela.
In my lifetime, Trump is the first president that gives a damn about liberty and freedom in Latin America. He's it. Biden clearly didn't. Obama clearly didn't. Obama went to a baseball game right down in Cuba. I mean, it's just fascinating. We have a president that cares. And there might have been some other presidents that cared, but they sure as heck didn't get anything done. My hope, Maduro flees. That's my hope. He's not the duly elected president of Venezuela. He's the head of, drug cartels. And I think the military is telling him, you're part of a drug cartel, you're going to be dead. Look at the boats that have been shot and killed with narco terrorists. So I have a bill that would take the reward to capture Maduro to $100 million. I don't care. It's all their money. We're taking their money, so it's Venezuelan money that he's stolen. So they would be happy if somebody got $100 million and he was in prison the rest of his life. So, and let Armando Gonzalez, be the duly elected president with support of Corina Machado. So that's what I hope happens. But I think one thing's going to happen is we're going to have a lot less drugs coming into the country.
Right. Yeah. The deterrent
Trump
effect.
secured the border. The drugs are not going to come in.
What do you think the administration can be doing to continue to support people like Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez? They're obviously showing a strong signal to Maduro, but we would want to make sure that if he leaves, that he's replaced by the right people. And there's a lot of nasty characters, Diosdado Cabello, et cetera, that are in Venezuela. What are the ways that we can show support to the Venezuelan people?
Well, my prayers is that both Armando Gonzalez and Maria stay safe.
Yeah.
I know Maria's in hiding. I talk to her every so often. She's very appreciative of what the Trump administration's done. So I think we got to give the Venezuelans good information, and we got to support them. I'm hopeful for Maduro being arrested. I don't know, how that will happen, but he should be arrested as the head of cartels.
Yep, and for crimes against humanity and any number of things, for his abuses of the Venezuelan people.
Killing Venezuelan children, starving them to death, not giving them medicine. Who would want to be? Why would you want to have that? He can live in luxury, but to know that he allowed little babies to starve to death, who would want to do that with their life?
Right.
That's what he's done. I don't know how you could ever justify that. If you look at what she's done with the Uyghurs, you look at this stuff and you think, how can you be that depraved?
Yeah, they're essentially all terrorist regimes, right? You have said for many years that the Maduro regime is a narco-terrorist dictatorship. It's clear that with the Uyghur genocide that's going on, with Iran's repression of its population, not to mention its nuclear weapons program. It's an incredibly dangerous world that we're living in.
And why would you want to do that with your life against another human being? It's like it's the same as human trafficking. I've never understood, why would you want to do that to another human being?
Well, to end on a more positive note, I'd love to hear your hopes and vision for this session of Congress. What are you hoping we really can achieve? What are your priorities and the things that you want to deliver to your constituents?
Well, I think number one, we've got to get to a balanced budget. We're never gonna get back to a great economy that has growing again. We're never gonna get inflation under control if we don't balance the budget. Number two is let's focus on the priorities of our federal government. It should be a couple things. It should be, number one, we have a military that nobody wants to mess with us. Mm-hmm. That's number one. We have to have a military that is lethal, that nobody just wants to take a chance of messing with us. Ask Iran if they thought we could do what we just did, right? That's what we have to show the world, and we have to be able to do it. And then what we got to do is we got to get out of the people's lives and start letting them live their own life. Like I said, I love my mom. I didn't like being told what to do. We overregulate this country. We don't need to be doing everything at the federal level that we're doing. Let the states, let them be laboratories. Let our cities be laboratories. Let people decide where it's way easier to change government, make decisions. So those are types of things. Then we got to support our allies. We got to build better relationships with our allies. We got to support the people that are oppressed, like my friend Jimmy Lai, who's in prison in China. We've got to do whatever we can to help people like Jimmy get out of prison. So I think the thing that's sort of the big things that I work on every day. Every day I wake up, how can I destroy the Chinese economy, because it's the only way to prevent war.
Yeah, well, we're grateful that you wake up every day with that purpose. What you're really describing is frankly, good versus evil, with America, as always, being on the side of good and supporting all of the citizens of the world who are also a side of that good. So thank you very much.